you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz, and I'm here today to review the 2002 Disney animated film Treasure Planet. Zero will not be on this review today. He has to do something work-related. I'm not going to say what it is. Haha, you haven't fooled me yet, audience. He will not be on this review. Hopefully he'll be here next week. Treasure Planet has the distinction of being one of the biggest flops for Disney when it came to their animated films. I don't have the exact stats up, but this film did so bad that if I remember correctly, it didn't last a month in the theaters. It just went in, made no sales, came right out. So why is it? Why did this happen? There are a few theories going around, and the one I believe in most is that it looked outdated as soon as it came out. Now, that's entirely unfair because it is a very attractive-looking movie. It's got a really good animation that is both CG and hand-drawn. The problem is that by this point in time, kids and some adults who were clamoring for full CG movies, such as the Pixar movies like Toy Story, A Bug's Life. What just came out a year previous was Shrek. That just came out. Ants, something like that. The hand-drawn animated movies were starting to die out in the theaters. And what it sounds like is that Disney made a gamble on this. That I think they were making this about 4 or 5 years ago. And Disney basically had it in the can by the time that this was going on, and then by the time they started releasing the movie, it was already dead. So that's the main theory that I believe in. Others are like, people didn't like the story, they didn't like the main character, he seemed a little too much having an attitude, which I'm like, I don't think that really was the case. I think it was mainly people were looking for the computer-generated films at this point, and hand-drawn was a little passe at that point. It's my theory as to what it is. And I think that really is the best theory I can have. Treasure Planet will then go on to have a larger audience that actually appreciates it on video and on streaming. It is something that it's got a bit of a fan base right now. If there's anything that could be a cult hit that Disney made, it probably would be this movie. There is a contingency of people who think this is probably one of the best movies that Disney did on their animated features. So if that's not nothing, I guess. So let's get into it. Let's get into the review of Treasure Planet. I went into this really hoping this was a good movie, because that's what I kept hearing from a lot of people and reading a lot online, that this is actually a surprisingly good movie. I came out of it saying it's okay. Okay, I'll be honest. When I watched it the first time, I kind of had a negative feeling about it. And I'll get into why that is. I'm going to have a spoiler section in this, and I think that's where it's going to lay on there. But as I was thinking about it last night into this morning, I can't say I hate the film. I think it's fine for what it is. I don't get the kind of fan base it has, because unless people have not seen pirate movies, except for maybe Pirates of the Caribbean, this is pretty standard in both sci-fi and pirate movies. The blend is fine, but it didn't really wow me in that sense. I think it really impresses others in this movie. So let's get into voice performances real quick. I think it's okay, but I definitely have a problem with Joseph Gordon Levitt as Jim in this, who I believe is a teenager in this film. He just sounds odd in a way. I mean, not odd where it's distracting, but it's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I like this voice performance so much. I don't know where I really stand with it. I'm kind of mixed. Like, it's, on the one hand, would I say it's bad? No, I don't think it's entirely bad. It's not a voice of a character that I can really get behind in this one. So I think the performance was okay at best. I think Brian Murray as Long John Silver was actually pretty good. I actually liked him in this. He played Long John Silver very well in this, and I thought Emma Thompson played a good captain. I thought that was another good voice performance. And then, David Hyde Pierce is okay. I mean, his voice is so distinctive. The only thing I can think about is Niles Crane or just David Hyde Pierce. And that kind of is a problem. His character is kind of endearing, but mostly annoying. So, yeah, it's fine, I guess. But I don't think it was that good of a performance, really. Let's get into writing real quick. I mean, this is a standard Disney movie of that time. It does have a different type of setting that people are used to when it comes to those Disney movies. But when it comes to how it's written, it is incredibly bog standard. You have the kid who's misunderstood and is causing trouble. You have the sidekick who is comic relief. You have the villain who, in this case, befriends the person who then betrays him. But I think that might be the one thing about this film that is different from other Disney films. I think is actually pretty good. Is the relationship between Long John Silver and Jim Hawkins. They strike up a bit of a father-son friendship of sorts throughout the movie, and then when the second half happens, it goes in a different direction. I don't think it goes that well in that direction, but it goes in a different direction at least. Nothing too deep. Dialogue is fine. Again, standard for a Disney animated film. Like, really nothing to write home about. In terms of the plot, I mean, the first half of the plot is fine. It's fine. And then the second half picks it up a little bit, but with one major weakness, and that is the character of Ben, which I will get into why that is in spoilers. And direction, it's a pretty looking movie. It's got some really nice camera movements, and the way that the action is set up is very good. I get what they were trying to do here, the blend of pirates and sci-fi. I don't think it works quite as well as I thought it could have. I think they leaned way too much into pirates, and it's kind of an incredibly weird juxtaposition of the two. I would think you'd have to blend them a little bit more. In this movie, they all talk like pirates, except for like Jim and the scientist character played by David Hyde Pierce. That's like the only two who don't talk like that. But the rest talk like, "Arr, walk the plank, matey." I'm like, okay, really? I just think that they should have had a little more creativity as to, like, okay, if pirates were still around, how would they talk in, like, 26, 25? I would imagine it would be a lot different than what it was. And I don't think they would all be flying spaceships that look like galleons. I'm just saying, I don't think that would work out. The visual aspect of it, I guess, is fine. But I really think this might be up to you on this one. It didn't really hit well with me on this one. I thought it was kind of weird. Up to you on this one. It didn't exactly charm me on this one. Okay, so let's get into spoilers for the 2002 animated film Treasure Planet. If you have not seen it, you should come back when you are ready. We'll get into spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The only way that I can effectively talk about my problems with this film is if I basically spoil the entire film. So here we go. If you haven't seen it, you're interested in it, I'm going to warn you now. I'm going to tell you the entire film. And if you have, you can yell at me on the comments and say how wrong I am, because you're probably only watching this because you're a fan of this movie. So let's get into it. Basically, the story starts with Jim as a child reading a book about pirates in the future, and mother kisses him goodnight and everything, and then you find out that he's become a rebellious teen because his father left him and his mother to go gallivanting. You don't really know exactly why that is, and that's deeply affected him, and he's turned him into a rebel who gets into trouble with the law. After he gets in trouble for the last time, a ship crashes near the inn where him and his mother lives, and the guy has a treasure, and he dies, and they take him to the inn, and his treasure is revealed to be this orb. A bunch of pirates come, seeing the other ship that has crashed, to get the treasure from them, and they escape, which then consequently burns down the inn. They find out the orb is a map, and with the help of Jim's mom's friend, who is the scientist played by David Hyde Pierce, he funds an expedition to go find Treasure Planet to find a pirate's hidden treasure. Then you meet the characters there that are going to be part of that sequence, which is Long John Silver, the captain, whole bunch of other scallywags. Jim meets Long John, who is the cook, who they kind of have an antagonistic relationship, but then they slowly begin to like each other and form a father-son bond of sorts. But the twist, Long John basically is not just a cook. He's forming a mutiny against the captain so he can get all the treasure that's coming out from this planet. And this is interesting. This is more interesting than it's been in most other Disney films, because there is an added complexity here where Long John really feels for Jim, but he doesn't want to be soft to the people that he's doing the mutiny with. So basically, he has to play two different characters at this point. Story short, the mutiny happens. The scientist, the captain, and Jim exit before getting killed by the mutineers. That's the first half. Not bad, not great, but standard Disney stuff. I would have to be honest. As much as there are some different things, everything is standard Disney at this point. So we get to the second half of the film. They're on the planet. They're on the fabled treasure planet. And you're introduced to a character named Ben, who is voiced by Martin Short. This is obviously supposed to be the comic relief for the second half of the film. And he is the most annoying sounding character I have ever witnessed in a Disney film. Absolute loud, obnoxious, annoying, and not funny in the slightest. So when this character is introduced, it is automatically an annoyance, because it's like, oh god, there's no purpose to this character other than to be funny. And not only is he not funny, he is also incredibly annoying. At that point, you into the interpersonal relationship between Long John Silver and Jim, and now they're being more combative, they're more against each other, and Jim is starting to actually gain more independence, probably gain more bravery, which leads to the end where basically they find the treasure, but it's booby-trapped, and the whole entire planet is about to blow up, and they make it out alive, and, you know, again, standard stuff that you'd get from a Disney movie. Basically, the hero makes it even though it's impossible, whatever. My issue, basically, in this film is that I'm kind of mixed, because I don't think the mix is done very well in this movie. After the film was over, I thought they should have spent more time on the actual planet than they did outside of it. Because what it is the first half is them trying to get to Treasure Planet, and then the second half is them at Treasure Planet. I thought inside Treasure Planet should have been much more than that. On the other hand, you would have to have more Ben, which would have been much more miserable for me on that one. When I got out of the film, after the film was over, I thought they could have done a little less with the Long John Silver plot line between him and Jim, and probably had more on Adventure Planet, make it more of an action stealth kind of movie in that end. I think that probably would have been a little bit better. But on the other hand, I do like what they did with Long John Silver and Jim in the first half. Maybe it could be done the other way, where most of the film is about their relationship getting to Treasure Island, and then Long John Silver betrays him and they mutiny. I just think the mix is wrong. I think something had to be more of the focus. And maybe it's the relationship between Jim and John would have been the better call. But I still kind of think it would have been better off if it were more of what happened on Treasure Planet. Because really, I think that's where the movie is more interesting, even though the character of Ben is incredibly annoying and I just did not want to deal with him. I will say this, though. I do understand to a point why some people really like this movie. It is, in terms of the visuals and the setting, pretty different than what Disney has done, but it's still a very standard Disney film. You can even go through really good movies like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, and that has been the standard. That did not change in this movie. It's just that the setting is a little bit different. I would say, honestly, if you miss that formula, and I think that's what this is, really, why this got popular. People do miss that formula. They do like the animated features, and they found this kind of unique gem, not in the theaters, and they were like, wow, this is actually pretty good. Wow. It reminds me of the old Disney animated films that I used to love, and it's got this cool theme. I think that's where it comes from, really. Other than that, fine. It's nowhere near the best of these movies. All right, so final thoughts on Treasure Planet. I said it in the spoilers and I said it during the review. It's a standard Disney film. And depending on what you're looking for, it's fine. It's entertaining enough. Like, even with kids, if they like hand-drawn animation, might not be a bad movie to show a boy or maybe even a girl, who knows, and they might be able to enjoy it. I think the mix of what they were doing didn't help the film. I really think they should have decided what they wanted to concentrate more on, whether it was either them being on the planet or the relationship between Jim and Long John. The way that they did the film this way, I don't think really helped. I think the performances by Brian Murray and Emma Thompson are very good. I think the performances by Martin Short, Joseph Gordon Levitt, and David Hyde Pierce could have been a lot better. The comic relief in this movie is pretty bad. I mean, well, not even just pretty bad, just really bad. Incredibly annoying. Despite all that, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I think it's okay. It's pretty standard for that type of film. And if you want that type of film, it's right there. You can just go onto Disney Plus and watch it. But I really wouldn't expect something mind-blowing. I know that there is a fan base for this. There's a fervent fan base. They do really like this movie. I don't see what exactly they are seeing in it, except for maybe they are nostalgic for that type of movie from when they were young, and this had a very different twist to it visually. But if you're looking for a good movie to watch, there are better ones. But if you really just want that specific type of film, I guess you can't go wrong. So 2.5 stars out of 5 for Treasure Planet. Yeah, it's fine. It's a Disney film. If you were expecting something higher than that, unfortunately, it's not that. But, it's fine, I guess. I ended up liking it more after the film. Like, much after I stopped watching the film. When I was finished with the film, I was like, because I was edging toward 2. But in all honesty, it's a standard Disney film through and through. So 2.5 stars out of 5 for me for Treasure Planet. If you want it, go check it out. Okay, so this is usually the time where I talk about what we're watching next week. We're going to do something a little different here. We're still not sure if Zero is going to be all right to come back onto the show to do a show next week. I'm going to find out whether he can or can't by Thursday. And once I find out, on the Thursday show, I will tell what the 2 films we're going to watch on Tuesday and Thursday will be. So stay tuned for that. So until next time, I am The Wiz, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.